we live in this really weird, polarizing era in which you're either all in or all out. I've sat in this very chair before, at this very desk, and gone through my thoughts on LeBron versus Michael Jordan, right, in terms of all-time greats. And if you don't, to the LeBron fan, bow to him and say he's the greatest you've ever seen, somehow you're defaming LeBron James as a bad basketball player or massively overrated or you're a hater. When the truth is, if there are 450 NBA players and for the better part of his 17-plus year career, he's been one of the top 5 to 10 players in the NBA for that long period of time, including several years in which he was the best player in the NBA, you're doing anything but defaming LeBron James. And the hundreds of thousands of NBA players in the history of the game, if he's in the conversation of being the best, that's actually quite respectful. But I've seen enough to tell you that what we're all seeing last night does not all fall on his shoulders. It doesn't. I'm not putting the blame solely on LeBron James. They had a 15-point lead, and then, of course, the Clippers made a run, and then LeBron goes on a run to start the fourth quarter and gives them space. They have a 6-point lead or 7-point lead with 6 minutes to go. They're at home, and it's not just home because they both share the arena. Like, that was a Lakers home game. It's almost always a Lakers home game when the Lakers play in Staples, even when they play in the Clippers home games. Look, they're not getting anything out of Avery Bradley. I don't understand why Rondo plays so much. I think Anthony Davis showed his flaws as being a great player. They didn't double-team Anthony Davis. They didn't make him pass the basketball. Montrezl Harrell is not seen as a great defender, and he's shooting fadeaway jump shots instead of attacking the rim. The Clippers won the game because they got to the free throw line, and when they missed jump shots, they got offensive rebounds. Whereas LeBron and the rest of the Lakers just settled for far too many jump shots. That's why they lost the game. So I'm not putting the loss on LeBron. But I will tell you that if you didn't have the name on the back of the jersey and you didn't know that was LeBron, who some people consider the greatest player of all time, and you didn't know it was Kawhi Leonard, who's the last year's Finals MVP, if you just said, hey, I want you to watch this game and tell me who the best player on the court is, anybody would have said number 2 in the white jersey. If you go back to last Thursday night when they played in Milwaukee, and look, to people who said that Giannis has now figured it out. He's a great shooter. Now he can shoot. Now he can do it all. Like he was 0 of 7 yesterday. He showed his flaws. But against Giannis and the Bucks, he was at best the second and really the third best player on that floor. LeBron James has a lot of tread worn off those tires. And yeah, he's probably dealing with a groin injury. I'm not saying that he's not banged up. But you can't go load management on me when LeBron didn't play the previous game for the Lakers in an effort to rest up for Christmas Day. He wasn't the best player on the floor. In the last 2 games combined, made for TV, primetime, real NBA playoff caliber games, shoots 39%, 26% from three-point range, 22 points a game, 6 turnovers. And then it should be pointed out he continues to struggle to make end-of-game free throws. Is that the reason they lost? Nope. He makes that free throw late. They're still down 2. It's not the reason that they lost. But LeBron James is not the same guy at 34 years old. Is it because he's in L.A.? I don't know. Maybe. Right? Traffic to and from Brentwood does seem to back you up, and so maybe you're not spending as much time in El Segundo as in the gym. The stronger likelihood is he's 34 years old. Can't get his body to do what it used to be able to do. There's some Tom Brady to it. Obviously, the difference with Tom Brady is Brady can fake it because he doesn't have to play defense. He doesn't have to match up with the athleticism of others, whereas when you're in the NBA, you're out there on an island. There's also, if you look back when the Ravens won their last Super Bowl, here's a huge difference. Okay? When the Ravens won their last Super Bowl, remember the Niners made a big comeback in the second half? How'd they do it? They attacked Ray Lewis. Couldn't play anymore. Now, LeBron's not there, okay? He's not, I can't play anymore. But instead of what the game plan always used to be against the Ravens, which is go anywhere in which Ray Lewis is not. What's changed in the NBA? You're not avoiding LeBron James at the defensive end. And you're not all that scared of him at the offensive end. Right? If you have the number of bodies that you can throw at him, to just put a body in front of him, he won't get a step on you. He'll shoot a jump shot, and there are nights in which, like last night, when he's not making them. What's helped LeBron become the superstar that he is not just the body that he has, the downhill game in which he plays, but also the trend in the NBA, which is you've taken power forwards are no longer going to exist. They don't really exist. LeBron James is the build of an old power forward, yet he has the game of, a new age Magic Johnson. So you take a power forward out of the game, and then you take a center, and many of these centers are now shooting threes, and you open up the lane. And oh yeah, by the way, the defense can no longer hand check you and keep you from driving downhill. All of these have helped him get to the rim. Now when he loses some of that step and he can't get to the rim, in addition to which he doesn't have the necessary volume of shooters around him, LeBron does not look Jason Kidd, end of his career, can't make a layup, washed up. But if you're operating under the assumption that LeBron James is still the best basketball player on earth, you obviously did not watch last night's game. And you obviously did not watch last Thursday's game. It doesn't mean that he's a terrible player. It doesn't mean that he's not a top 10 player in the NBA. It doesn't mean that he's not the Lakers MVP. He's still the Lakers' most valuable player. Between his intelligence at both ends, his passing ability, his scoring ability, his size and versatility, his leadership. Look, the Lakers have had a great run here in the first half of the season. But if you hadn't watched basketball all year, or you didn't know anything about LeBron versus Kawhi and just said, hey, I want you to watch this game, you tell me who the best player is, you would have said number 2 in the white jersey, not number 23 in the gold jersey. That happens. It does happen. We try and adjust on dated information. And if your information is that LeBron is the best ever, and that never changes, well, then you're not dealing with reality. Look, this is what happened in the NBA Finals going back 2 and 3 years ago. I get it. Game 1, 2 years ago, he's unbelievable, 51 points. J.R. Smith doesn't know time and score and screws it up. But throughout the length of that series, as well as the series before, and the series before is even more telling because you can't make the argument about LeBron not having a supporting cast. He had Kevin Love, he had Kyrie Irving, he had Tristan Thompson, he had the whole slew of guys. But he was matched up with Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant was the better player in the second half of all the important games. And the Warriors won, and he was the MVP. Kevin Durant was. Kevin Durant, if you didn't know who LeBron was, you didn't know who Kevin Durant was, you'd say, I think Kevin Durant's actually the better player in these particular games. And big games do matter. Like, look, I don't care about we're going to talk about the Cowboys in a second. It don't really matter the rest of the Cowboys season. Well, make a determination based upon how good Dak Prescott is on the road against a depleted Philadelphia Eagles team, against a guy who was selected ahead of him and got a bigger contract than him. You want to tell me that he's better than Carson Wentz? He had better wide receivers, a better running back, a better offensive line. And he couldn't win the game. He couldn't score points. With the play calling, yeah, this is the same thing. Like last night, should the Lakers have dip more offense late, especially in the last possession? Sure. Is there, right? These are all explanations. These are all explanations. It's fine. It's fine to say that Kellen Moore is inexperienced as an offensive coordinator. It's fine to say that Jason Garrett's not a great head coach. Okay. But if you watch the game, you'd say Dak Prescott or Carson Wentz, who's better? And then you factor in that Carson Wentz has got practice squad guys at wide receiver, and Dak Prescott has what we were told were stars at wide receiver and a star at running back. Big games matter. They help determine what's what, who's who. Last night was as big an NBA game as we've had in a long time. Does it mean the Clippers are going to absolutely win Game 7 of the NBA Finals? No. Doesn't mean they'll win the Western Conference Finals. It does not. But it gives us a little hey, Alex Caruso, not ready for that level yet, right? Lakers still trying to figure it out. Clippers working together, but really won that game on toughness, rebounding, defensive intensity, tenacity. It wasn't always pretty, and maybe that's the way they always have to win, or maybe that's the way in which they're winning now. Like, all of these are good explanations. But the facts remain that you just watched last night. It's okay. This is like having a discussion with your significant other when she's thinking about having a nip or a tuck or something lifted up. Like, hey, those lines in your forehead, that's okay. That makes you who you are. That's experience. That's ups, that's downs, that's life. If LeBron can win an NBA championship, that actually makes me think even more of him. He still won't be the best player on earth. You just find a way. Lift up other people. Add new pieces. Add an Andre Iguodala, or add somebody else who can come get them buckets late, because LeBron cannot do that anymore. That's not who he is at this stage in his career. And if you don't believe me, watch the big games. It's all you need to know. Playoff basketball, different than the rest. Big game NBA Cologne night basketball. Cologne is a special night. Last night was a special night, and it showed that Kawhi Leonard was the best player on the floor. If you don't think there's a difference between last night's game and the other games, why did both Kawhi and LeBron sit leading up to it? Because they knew. Everybody knew. Games matter. It's a playoff intensity. And you find out who belongs on the court. You find out who does not. But you also find out who the better man is. And the snapshot in time of December 25th, 2019, 2 in the white jersey was better than 23 in the yellow jersey. Doesn't mean that he's been better for the last 17 years. It does mean that last night he was, and this appears to be a trend. An NBA insider for Yahoo Sports, he's Chris Haynes. He joins us now in the herd, fresh off of. They usually call it. What do you got? There's no presence in there. There's no presence in there. It's quite the walk up. See, too many NBA games. He had this like slow walk up where he's expecting people to take pictures of the suit. Give me your biggest takeaway of last night's Battle of LA?
Well, I think the Clippers are legit. They're real. I think, like I said, they are who we thought they were. And their record is not going to be reflective on how really good they are, because, they're going to have these load management games all throughout the season. But, this is why they built this team this way, just to have so much length and versatility to be able to combat the powers of the Lakers, which is AD and LeBron James. And so I'm not going to overreact, off of one game, Christmas Day game, even though they are up 2-0 in the season series. But I just think it shows that, man, this team is legit. When healthy, I just expect the winner of the Western Conference standings, barring injuries, I expect it to come out of LA.
I watched last night's game, and I thought a couple things. We'll get to LeBron in a second. I do think the Lakers are missing something, and everybody believes they'll likely to add Andre Iguodala. The reasoning there is Rob Pelinka was his agent, right? And they need one more guy. I think they need a guard and a combo guard. Like, Darren Collison was supposed to be a Laker. He decides to retire. And so now you're working with Rondo and Caruso. They have an infatuation with Rondo I don't understand. He hasn't been a good player in the league in 5 years. He hasn't been a great asset for a championship team in like 10 years. Like,
that's debatable, Doug. I mean, he's been really good the last couple of years.
When?
Rondo? Rondo has been putting up numbers last couple of years.
When was he good, though? They were better in New Orleans when he was decent in New Orleans. Okay, he got run out of, what was it Dallas, right?
Dallas, then he had the resurgence in New Orleans,
right?
And he's been solid.
He was okay with the Bulls, and then he was really good in the playoffs for the first 2 games against the Celtics, and then he got hurt and they collapsed.
But
how many years ago was that?
Well, I get you, but I would agree that maybe his skill set doesn't blend well with LeBron James, because typically when LeBron James team, he needs a stretch point guard type of.
It's not just that though. Like, look, if he can't shoot, and like his numbers actually tell you he can shoot, but nobody in the NBA thinks he can shoot. he has to be Patrick Beverley at the defensive end, and he's not.
I'll give you that.
Right? The whole thing with Rondo is he's an unbelievable defender. He has statistically, every metric tells you he's actually hasn't been a great, maybe even a good defender in a long time. He lives on reputation there. And then he's not a good finisher in the lane. So it's like, all right, if you're not going to bring much on offense, just stand outside and shoot. You got to give me something on defense, and he's not that tenacious junkyard junkyard dog that he used to be.
Well, to your point about them needing to bring in another addition, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. The fact that I think they need more of a 3D player. I just don't think there's anybody outside of Danny Green really on that roster who's going to hit that jumper consistently and stretch the defense. Kyle Kuzma can do it from spurts, but somebody like J.R. Smith is out there. I know he's probably a red flag for a lot of GMs out there, but LeBron James has familiarity with him in Cleveland, knows how to handle him, get the best out of him. Somebody like that makes a lot of sense.
I understand. I agree with you in terms of shooting, but there's also a lack of shot creation, right? Like LeBron is not the same guy athletically. None of us would be if we played that many years in the NBA. Right? Is that like, look, we've seen him in these games, the Milwaukee game and this game. And you could say groin, and I'll be like, all right, but when you're 34, your groin does flare up more often.
That groin is important. You want it does damper what you're able to do.
What's your assessment of LeBron? We've seen him in 2 big games against high level competition in this last week.
Well, look, I have to take him by his word that he's not 100%. And I look at last night's game, and he clearly wasn't imposing his will physically on the opponent. There wasn't a lot of drives. There wasn't a lot of attacking. There wasn't a lot of pounding. And that's what LeBron James does. And, Doug, up to this week, there's been talks about him being, in the MVP race. Right. And so his play has been there, except for the last, 4 or 5 games.
Chris Haynes continues to join us. Senior NBA insider for Yahoo Sports. Used to be a reporter with ESPN covering the Warriors, and, of course, with the Cleveland Plain Dealer covering the Cavs. So he goes way back on multiple sides of the LeBron James story. Let's go to the call, okay? It was kind of a weird possession where, again, Rondo's in the game, where you're like, why is he in the game? But LeBron has the basketball, late, couple seconds left, goes up to shoot, and Rondo hits the ball out of his hands. And it appears they're going to have a timeout. It's going to be Laker ball. And we're going to find out, if the Lakers bench can draw something up for a 3-point shot. They go to replay, and on further review, the ball did go off of LeBron. Is this the right call?
Well, I mean, it is the right call. I mean, it went off of LeBron's hands, and so ball goes to the Los Angeles Clippers. I think what people have a problem with is just the slowing down of the game. Obviously, this is a call. If you're looking at it just with your dead eye, you're going to say Patrick Beverley tipped the ball out. It's
going to ruin pickup. I said this in the meeting, and that we didn't have some of our guys that play a lot of pickup basketball. It's going to ruin pickup basketball forever, and here's why. Okay, in pickup basketball, whichever direction the ball goes automatically determines who we think the ball went off of.
That's
right?
True. That's true.
Right? Like if you're, it can't go that way. I didn't hit it that way, right? Patrick Beverley hit the basketball in that direction. It went out. It has to be off Patrick Beverley. But now that we've seen on the replay that it actually went off of LeBron.
Yeah, and look, I go back and forth with the replay. Obviously, you want to get the right call on the court, but
are we going to get the right call every call?
And that's you're not. Even a replay, you're not going to get the right call every time because sometimes the refs can't find they can't really truly get it right, and so they'll leave the call the same. They leave it as is. And, it's one of those plays where it's like, dang, you want to see, no matter who you're rooting for, you want to see. If LeBron or Lakers, if they can get, see what they can do with those 3 seconds left. And, they get the chance to do that.
Is LeBron James still a top 5 player in the NBA?
No doubt. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind.
You would take him ahead of Kawhi today. You would take him ahead
of... like physically right now?
Yes.
Well, since LeBron...
it's like the whole thing.
Okay, hold on. Since LeBron James is banged up right now, yes, I'll take Kawhi.
Come on.
You say it today.
All right. So you would take him for the year. You would take him ahead of Kawhi Leonard right now, not for the entirety of his career. This is what we're doing. We conflate, do you like LeBron James? Do you love what he's been and what he is right now? It's like Tom Brady. Tom Brady's not a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. He's 42 years old. But he's still the most successful quarterback in the history of the sport.
This might be the last year I say this, but I will still take LeBron this season over
Kawhi Leonard?
I will take LeBron this season over anybody.
Were you
right
in person
now.
or did you watch it on TV last night?
I was there in person.
How many fingers am I holding up?
You hold them two. You got two fingers up.
Okay.
I realize the dominance of Kawhi Leonard. I know that boy is a bad boy, but I'm saying
he's a robot.
He is a robot. He can't be touched. You can't move him. You can't speed his game up. You can't mentally challenge him. He's his own person. But I will say this, I believe like you have to take it from somebody to be the best. I don't feel like anybody's took it.
Durant didn't take it from him 2 years in a row in the finals? Came down the court in Cleveland 2 years in a row, the exact same spot, came down and hit a three right in his eye. That's not vanquishing him right in front of his own people?
Kevin Durant even acknowledged himself that he thought more people would jump on the bandwagon and say he took it. And he was disappointed that narrative didn't take over.
I mean, but the reality of it is I felt like it did. And then Kawhi, because Kevin Durant was hurt, he was the guy. He's the guy.
Because
and then Giannis felt like he took it from him.
Yeah,
I don't think.
But you're saying hurt. That's what happens when somebody's hurt. Somebody else has to take over.
What do we do with LeBron's fourth quarter foul shooting?
Ooh, there's no defending that. I mean,
it's weird though, because usually the older you get, those are the things that you do better.
That's true,
right? Like the athletic things you don't do as well, but your brain. Like, look, he wasn't a great three-point shooter. He's got that kind of awkward step back, which last night he didn't hit it, but he has become a better three-point shooter and a better mid-range shooter, and has a little bit more in his bag, if you will. But the free throw shooting in the fourth quarter, like he made the first one. The second one was like, oh, my gosh, that might not draw iron.
I was playing pickup with one of the homies from back when we were teenagers, and he couldn't shoot then. And he still can't shoot now. And I'm like, dude, what have you been doing for the last 20-something years? Like, that's your jumper is what gets better.
Right.
You don't athletically you don't get better.
I agree. So what? Like even I can make jump shots now.
I don't.
So what happened to what's up with LeBron in the fourth quarter? Not
Look,
lack of volume.
I've covered this guy exclusively. Pretty much on a daily. 2 years in a row. Then periodically last 4 years. He's changed his free throw stance, I want to say about 5 or 6 times over that time frame. Yeah. He's never stuck with one thing and just, developed it. Yeah. He's always switched. So I think that is a reason. But, look, if he doesn't get that right, man, that's going to be a problem come playoff time for sure.
Okay. I'm wondering about the Rockets. Like, look, I don't think it's going to work. Obviously, yesterday becomes confirmation bias. It's only one game. Last year, the Warriors lost to the Lakers in the exact same game. Mm-hmm. But you see the volume of shots that Russell Westbrook took and did not make, right? And you just start to say, here we go again with the Rockets. Do people in the NBA think the Rockets are at the same level as the Lakers and the Clippers?
No. Nobody really thinks that. But when you say it's not going to work to what extent?
They're not going to take that next step, right? That's why
championship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I get you there. No doubt about that.
Play in the finals. Like, can they? It's like they couldn't beat the Warriors, and I guarantee what Tillman Fertitta said was like, look, we can't beat the. Remember when they lost to the Warriors again at home?
Yeah.
The Warriors didn't have KD, and they come in with, like, if we can't beat the Warriors now, we're never going to beat them. We had to rethink things. They try and rethink things. They go with Russell Westbrook, who's a more athletic at this stage version of Chris Paul, but doesn't do the other things Chris Paul does.
Yeah.
Is this version of the Rockets at the same level as the Lakers and the Clippers? And you're saying you don't believe they are?
I don't believe so. But what I would say is that they're dangerous enough where you really can't take them for granted. Because I'll say that the seeding has to play in their favor. Playoff seeding, that is. Like, they can't go through LA and the Clippers in the playoffs. Seeding has to be in their favor where they meet meet one of those teams in the conference finals. But I was, look, when you got Harden, playing like
by the way, he's a top 5 player in the NBA.
I give him that. No, definitely.
Okay, so
he's top 5.
Yes.
Hold on.
No, I'm just saying, like,
I know you're trying to get at.
You have Kawhi, but you have Kawhi behind LeBron. You put Harden behind LeBron too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
I know he only plays one end, but he's pretty good at that one end.
Harden's been playing better at the other end now, especially in the post.
Listen, just for full disclosure, I love basketball.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I was in a gym at Hope University with my son and my nephew, yesterday hooping, then watching all these guys. I love basketball. I think James Harden's great. I cannot stand watching James Harden play, but I will tell you, he's probably the best offensive player in the league.
I will give you that right now. He's revolutionized the game. He makes you like there's seldom guys that come into the league and they do moves where you have to look at him like, dang, was that allowed? Like he really.
No, the answer is not. Shouldn't be allowed. The travel shouldn't be allowed.
Well, I'm saying, but there's some of his step backs where I have to replay it in slow mo to look like, man, that was legit.
It is kind of ballet. Last thing, look, I know Joel Embiid is not at that level because he doesn't do it consistently, and because everyone holds their breath thinking he's going to get hurt. But man, is that guy a talent? Like, he might be the most talented cat there is. Like 7 feet, can move, can shoot, can pass, can block shots.
The most talented. Is he in your top 5?
No, because he doesn't. We don't see that from him on a consistent enough basis.
Okay, most talented. He's arguably AD. AD's up there.
A 7-footer that can move like that and do all of those things.
I mean, what Giannis does at 6'11",
but Giannis is not as. I don't think Giannis is as good a shooter. Naturally,
no, he's not as good a shooter. But I mean, he can do pretty much everything else better than Joel Embiid.
Can't score in the post. Not a true post scorer like Embiid is. He does everything with the ball a little bit better in terms of creating for himself. The Euro step is, but Embiid
consistency from Embiid.
Yes.
That's what everybody.
If you were a betting man right now, I got 15 seconds. Sixers or Bucks out of the East.
Bucks. I don't need the whole 15 seconds. Bucks.
They do. They usually shoot it very well. They did not shoot it well yesterday, and the Sixers did.
They're on a mission. I don't Christmas Day game, whatever. They're on a mission. Bucks.
Chris Haynes, you check him out and speak for yourself a little bit later. Read his work in Yahoo Sports. Follow him on social media. He does a great job. Incredible rise for you. Merry Christmas.
Hey, Merry
Happy
Christmas
New Year.
too,
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, that's Chris Haynes.